Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving straight into a seriously fascinating philosophical text by Shufeng to map out a structured, progressive journey towards spiritual enlightenment. If you've ever felt like the universe is operating on some hidden set of rules that you just can't quite see, well, you're in the right place. We're going to break down exactly how to tune into those rules.
We're confronted right away with a pretty profound question. Who controls the destiny of this vast Earth? This taps into a very real, honestly, sometimes super frustrating confusion that we all feel when we're facing life's extreme unpredictability. I mean, why do some people just seem to breeze through while others are constantly fighting against the current?
The text brilliantly highlights this through some really striking paradoxes. Picture this. On one hand, you have a 3-year-old sitting on a throne, handed immense power for seemingly no reason at all. On the other hand, you have brave warriors dying far from their home. Xu uses these intense contrasts to validate our everyday feelings of earthly unfairness. It builds this immediate tension that sparks what he calls a true spiritual quest.
But right before we map out that journey, we've got to define a really crucial distinction, straight from the source material. We have life with a lowercase l, which represents our everyday physical existence. And then we have life in all capital letters, representing our deeper spiritual essence. Understanding the difference between this physical life and our spiritual life establishes the true stakes of the ascent we're about to make.
So here's our roadmap for today's explainer. We'll be walking through the mystery of life, understanding the way, seeking the way, realizing the way, attaining the way, and finally, upholding the way. Let's get right into it.
Starting with Section 1, the mystery of life, focusing on that initial earthly confusion.
As the text breaks down for us, people with the exact same starting line can end up with wildly different fates. Think about siblings born to the exact same mother. One ends up wildly successful, while the other is constantly struggling. Or two grads from the exact same university. One enjoys smooth sailing in their career, and the other faces endless setbacks. It forces us to ask, is it fate? Is it just dumb luck? Or is it something more? Why does the text say man plans but heaven decides? Honestly, leaning into that deep contemplation is where the journey actually begins. Moving right along to Section 2, understanding the way. This is where we start sensing the rules. The author lays out these 5 sequential steps as the ultimate, definitive roadmap to the sublimation of life. And the key thing to remember here is how they build on each other. You simply cannot seek without first understanding. And you definitely cannot attain without realizing. Now, the really crucial takeaway is that understanding doesn't mean you magically have all the answers on day one. According to the text, it simply means opening your eyes to perceive the fundamental laws and evolutionary principles that are operating right behind the scenes. It's about sensing the origins of all things and the mysteries of space-time and that all-caps life. It's basically that aha moment when you realize there's actually a pattern to the madness. Which brings us to Section 3, seeking the way, applying those rules. I absolutely love how the text grounds this super abstract concept into tangible everyday reality. It says, rubbing wood creates fire, heat causes water to boil. Shufeng is using these physical metaphors to show us that just like heat boils water every single time, human fortune operates strictly on cause and effect. No wind, no waves, as the text puts it. So seeking the way means aligning your personal philosophy so you're actually swimming with the current of these natural laws, instead of exhausting yourself futilely fighting against them. Next up is Section 4, realizing the way, where it's all about verifying your worldview. Here, the author hits us with these rapid-fire existential questions to really test our foundation. Creationism versus evolution. Is death the end, or is it a new beginning? What is our primary goal? How do we even manage our relationships with nature and society? The text expertly blends these diverse philosophical and theological touchstones, pulling from both science and religion, as a completely neutral framework. The goal isn't to pick a political or worldly side in a debate, it's about pursuing universal truth. Realizing the way means actively exploring these massive questions in your own life, just to see if your values actually hold up in the real world. And that leads us to Section 5, attaining the way, the triumphant climax. The source gives us this incredibly powerful maxim: rope saws through wood, and water drops wear away stone. This is fantastic because it beautifully illustrates that enlightenment isn't some magical overnight shortcut. No way. It's the natural, eventual result of profound diligence. Think of water slowly, steadily cutting through solid rock. Your continuous, stubborn efforts in seeking and realizing will eventually lead to a massive breakthrough. And when you finally do connect all those dots, well, the text describes a sudden flash of enlightenment. It says a pure heart invites celestial clarity. You finally comprehend the profound mysteries of the universe, and you establish a truly unshakable and correct philosophy of life. You essentially step into what the author describes as a realm of eternal joy. You've reached the summit. You have attained the way.
But the journey isn't quite over. Let's look at Section 6, Upholding the Way, Surviving at the Peak.
Because right here, we hit probably the starkest contrast in the entire text. We have the relative ease of attaining the way stacked up against the immense, grinding difficulty of upholding it. Sure, attaining the way might be a moment of sudden, beautiful clarity, but upholding it, that requires battling daily temptations. The text literally notes that there is yin in yang and yang in yin. Demons and gods are always close at hand. Basically, the higher you climb the mountain, the greater the peril. Upholding the way means carrying the heavy burden of worldly pressure and absolutely refusing to let go of your spiritual gains.
To really hammer this point home, the author impartially pulls a teaching straight from Western theology. Only those who endure to the end will be saved, a quote from Jesus. The text uses this to capture the ultimate essence of upholding the way. It's about maintaining your stance, totally regardless of what's happening around you. It compares the state to being a secure boat in a raging storm. Whether you're facing perfect harmony or absolute chaos, you have to remain completely steadfast in your belief. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a final, pretty provocative thought about your own journey through life. You may have found the way, but will you hold your ground until the very end? The text warns that a single moment's retreat can lead to failure, but truly enduring, that guarantees the ultimate sublimation of your spirit. Take a moment to think about where you are on this 5-stage path today and what you personally need to do to take that very next step.